Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to the Matt Ridge Davidson-Davie Community College Coaches Show. I'm Miles Poole along with Coach Matt Ridge. We're coming to you live tonight from Brinkley Gym on the campus of DDCC, and this is our first show of the new year, right? I think it's been a while since we've had a Coaches Show, but we've got a good one. So we'll talk a little bit about last night's game against Richard Bland. You've also played 4 other games since our last Coaches Show. We'll touch on those. And we've also got some really special guests tonight. We've got, of course, the college president, Jenny Varner, going to be joining us. We're excited about that. And then we've got a couple of red shirts, Caleb Walker and also Dane Stewart, going to come in for our player interview. So should be a pretty good show.
Excited about Jenny being here. Appreciate her taking the time to come out tonight. And, of course, appreciate all you do and Jared behind the scenes and all the many, many people that make this show even possible. So excited about the show.
Yeah, we're Jared Bowman is our engineer tonight, and KT Tatum is going to be doing our camera work. So we appreciate that, and we'll jump right into our show. Reminder: we'll be looking at the Facebook link. So if you're out there watching and you want to ask Coach Ridge or any of our guests or players a question, you can do so via the Facebook link, and we'll try to watch that as we go along. Coach, 14-1, 7-1 in conference play. You guys are second ranked in the country in D3 behind the Cobras of Parkland. And for those that don't know, Parkland actually lost Tuesday night, so they got hung with their first loss of the season. So there's a chance you guys maybe next week could move up in the poll. You got to take care of business, of course, this weekend with a couple of games. But you guys are in first place in Region 10, and we're going to talk about that as well. But we're going to start the show off talking about the last 5 games since our coaches show, and we'll go all the way back to December 9th. You had a game against Southwest Virginia. In that game, Coach, you shot the ball really well. The team shot the ball well. 120-86 victory. 120 points, I think that's the highest we've had this season. What were some of the things you were able to do in that game against Southwest Virginia to get our offense going?
Well, we want to play fast every night, but especially against Southwest Virginia, we thought, we had a few, athletes on our team that could force the tempo that we wanted, and our guys did a great job of getting out full court man and pressuring and denying and doing what we do defensively to speed them up, so to speak. And then we, on the offensive end, shot the ball at a high clip. So, we put up 120 on them, but we did give up 86. But in that type of game, I think sometimes people say, look, there's not a whole lot of defense being played, but the number of possessions, you got to look at the big picture. You can't just look at the total number of points scored because there's so many more possessions in a game that, is played to that style of play. So I was proud of how we shot the ball, but most importantly, I was proud of how we defended it and pressure. We say TOBP on the ball. That stands for tremendous on-ball pressure, and our guys in that game did a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, you guys had 31 points off turnovers in that contest. Pretty special. Next game, we traveled to Lewisburg, always a tough game down there against the Hurricanes. Again, you eclipsed the century mark, 102-79 win over the Hurricanes at their place. Close game at the break, 51-45, you guys led. But in the second half, you outscored Lewisburg 51-34 to take that big win. What were some of the differences between that first half and the second half?
Well, number one, I want to say I was super proud of the guys. That was our last game before break. And we were without Jacob Moore and I believe Frank Stockton, 2 of our players that play a lot of minutes for us. So for our guys to go on the road last game before the break and play in a hostile environment like Lewisburg and win in the style that we did was special. And it said a lot to me about their focus and attention to detail. I think it also says a lot about our depth to not have a Jacob Moore and Frank for that game and go in there and play at that level. But in the second half, I really thought we clamped down defensively. Ethan gave us a huge spark that game defensively like he does most nights. And then I think we had some guys like Kobe shoot the ball really well from the 3. So, I think the second half defensively we really locked in, got some stops, got out on the break, and was able to outscore them by whatever, 16 or 17.
Yeah, Kobe had 22 in that game. Najee had a double-double, I think 20 points and 10 rebounds. And we're going to talk a little bit more about Ethan a little later on in the broadcast because he's had some really good defensive games as of late. So last week we had a huge game here at Brinkley against the number 10 nationally ranked Division III team, and that's Sandhill. Big rivalry for us, even though they're not in our conference, and that goes back many, many years. You guys were able to jump out to a huge lead. I mean, 65-32 lead at halftime, and you came away with a 110-83 victory. The first half, I thought, might have been your best half of ball that I've seen you play all year. Talk about that quick start against the Flyers.
Well, I want to thank our community. Number one, it was a packed gym, almost a sellout before the whole fire alarm situation when we set the fire alarm off accidentally before the game. But thankfully, Jenny and our administration was here to help remedy that situation. But, we just came out and the guys played so hard. I don't know how many turnovers we forced at halftime, but when I looked up at the scoreboard, I rarely even look at the scoreboard in the first half because I know the game's 40 minutes. But when I looked up at the scoreboard on my way to the locker room, I was shocked. I mean, it's special to be up 30-plus on anybody, but a team like Sand Hills, who at the time was ranked 10th in the country in D3, that says a lot about the potential and the ceiling that this group of guys over here have. So I'm excited about this group. I don't think we've come close to reaching our potential yet. The last few games, we haven't played our best. But in that half, the first half of Sand Hills, we were impressive. And I told the guys after the game that shows how good we can be. Because defensively, when they're locked in and everybody playing to the style and the standards that we teach every day, we can get after some people. And that night against Sand Hills, the first half, we turned them over quite a bit and got some easy buckets in transition. And we shot the ball well. Kobe came out, and DJ and those guys were making shots. So, when the ball goes in the basket, everything looks a lot better, right?
Well, fourth game in a row with you're eclipsing the 100-point mark. But you were talking about the defense. I thought defense was lights out in that game. 29 turnovers, forcing 29 turnovers, 8 by Ethan English in the ball game, and you got 39 points off turnovers. Just, again, touch a little bit about that defensive play again against the Flyers, how important that is.
Well, we do defensive drills almost every day, whether it be ball man, deny quick head, et cetera, et cetera. Basketball is a game of habits, and so these guys have built the habit since August. And then on game day, our community and our fans and our parents and yourself, they get to see the end product. What we as coaches get to see is their daily grind and building those habits. And then when they come out and they play so hard and smart and together, and everything comes to kind of the forefront, it's fun as a coach to sit over there and watch them have fun and enjoy those moments. But this is only the tip of the iceberg as to what's to come. Obviously, we're only halfway through our season. We haven't lost on the court yet. We got to continue to stay humble and get better and better because we got obviously some big games coming up.
Well, before that Sand Hill game, we had touching ceremony for two beloved members of the Storm family that we lost in 2023. If you would, Coach, just talk a little bit about the lives of those two, Dr. Darren Hartness and Nas Baltimore.
Well, I could talk a whole show on both of those guys, but obviously Nas played here 2 years, led us all the way to the national championship game. But his infectious personality, he was so much fun to be around. Everybody loved Nas for who he was as a person. I mean, he was always able to keep everybody smiling and laughing, and and he obviously was an incredible basketball player. But more importantly, he was close to a lot of these guys over here, Mike Wade, DJ, those guys played with him who are on this team. Those are memories that we'll always have with us. And the fact that his mother came down here with some family to honor him was special, not just for her and her family, but for us, because Nas meant a lot to us. And then, of course, Dr. Darren Hartness, I mean, what else is there to say? Not just an incredible leader for this school and our faculty and staff, student body, but just an unbelievable Christian who every meeting I had with him would witness to me about make sure you go home and spend time with your girls. I mean, what boss tells you that, right? Be a father and husband first. And just incredible, humble leader that was able to work his tail off, but at the same time keep the main thing. And he lived that Christ-like. And so for me, it was great to be around him, to learn not just as a leader of the school, but how to live your life in the way that Christ would want us to live it.
Well, we're all better people for having known both of those two guys, great guys that will be missed for sure. Last Saturday, we had our first conference game of the new year. Central Carolina Cougars came in, and it's a team that on paper was our first loss. We had to forfeit. We had beat them 104-84 at the beginning of the year. We're able to win this one 77-57. Our streak of 100-point games ended. But we were able to pull out our 13th win of the season. What were some of the keys in getting the win there?
Well, in the course of 30 games, regular season, you're going to have some games where you don't shoot a high percentage. I mean, the last couple games we haven't shot the ball great, but we were able to overcome that in both games and still win because of what we hang our hat on, and that's our half-court pressure man-to-man defense. We held Central Carolina to, I believe, according to what Manuel was telling me, and our statisticians, Kevin Egan, who I think is listening online, so appreciate you, Kevin. We held them to a season-low three-point percentage, and that's their strength. I think we held them to 20% from the three, which for us to do that was huge. And then we out-rebounded them significantly, which we should have. We're much taller and more athletic than them. But we did not shoot the three ball well. We didn't shoot the ball well in general. But that's going to happen. And you can overcome those things if you hang your hat on getting stops and rebound the basketball. The three things you have to do to win a championship is rebound the basketball, play great D, and not turn it over. And we did two of those three things in that game.
Well, we got a shout-out from Tim Gwillem. He said, by the way, in the Sand Hills game, that you missed your halftime popcorn. So
well, most people don't know this, but my wife and kids do. The next day I got to work, and Tim made a point to come by my office and gave me a bag of popcorn.
Nice.
Yeah, a nice guy
Nice.
and a funny guy. And by the way, Tim, thank you for all you do. He's done almost every role imaginable this year, from driving the bus to keeping the scorebook to running the digital scoreboard to instant replays. Love you, Tim. Appreciate you.
Well, last night we started a long stretch of road games, 5 games on the road. We were in Virginia last night. Richard Bland, the Statesman, D1, so we're playing up last night. They have arguably one of the best scoring guards in the country with Martin Kawhi, who was averaging nearly 20 points a ball game. We held him under his average, didn't hold him completely in check, but we won a hard-fought contest, and we trailed at halftime. We trailed in the second half by 7, which is not something that we typically see. Talk about this game, if you would, for a moment, Coach, and how you were able to overcome a 7-point second-half deficit to win that game.
You know, these guys don't panic. They expect to win. And during that run when we were down 7 and we were cutting into the lead, I heard in a timeout Ethan say to his teammates, we're not going to lose. You know, and then out of that timeout, we went on a 4-0 run or 6-0 run, and then all of a sudden it was tied. And then late in the game, the last couple minutes, I felt like our conditioning was the main reason we won that game last night. We did not shoot the ball well again last night. That's no secret. You can look at the numbers and stats, but we got enough stops to overcome that and still win the game. We were down 7. I think Ethan hit a 3, DJ hit a 3, and then all of a sudden late in the game, we're getting stops and getting runouts and layups. Najee was running the floor, got a layup in transition, I believe, and then the play of the game was when we were up 1 with 20 seconds to go. Out of the timeout, we trapped the ball screen. Najee turned the ball back into Ethan. Ethan stole it, went down, got an and 1. That put us up 4, which sealed the game. So out of that timeout, our guys executed exactly what we told them to do in that timeout defensively, and it led to the game-winning play.
Well, you had 31 points off the bench versus 17 for the Statesman. You out-rebounded Richard Bland 42-26 and only allowed them 4 offensive rebounds, which, you know, their second-chance points, they only had 5 because of that. You guys had 12. One thing I wanted to just ask you, teams will excel at what you emphasize, and rebounding, as an example, is a fundamental, right? Fundamental of the game, and you mentioned it's a key to winning. It's something your team excels at. Talk about your emphasis with the team on winning the battle of the boards.
Well, it's something we emphasize every day. And like last night, we were getting beat off the bounce a lot, and Jacob Moore was down there altering and blocking shots and, you know, cleaning up some things that our guards, when we were getting blown by, obviously didn't do it every time. But, you know, having guys like Najee and down there be rim protectors, Frank didn't play last night, but he's certainly done it as well. You know, that's huge. But then when the ball is shot, yes, you got to go block out, but just as important, when the ball comes off the rim, you got to go stick and go get the ball and rebound the ball out of your area. And we've had some guys do that. It needs to be a little bit more consistent. We got to continue to get better at that, rebound the ball out of your area, but it's so incredibly important if you're going to win a national championship.
Well, we're current now, so we come home with a win last night. I know you guys got in really late this morning, or early this morning. Let's talk a little bit about, we're 7-1 sitting in conference in Region 10, about a third of the way through the schedule, a little over a third of the way through. Give our listeners a snapshot of below us where the conference shakes out and how things are looking?
We got two teams right behind us with 2 losses, and that's Lenore, who we play this Sunday, who's the most improved team in our league by far. They play incredibly hard. So if you're not able to make the drive to Kinston this Sunday, certainly I would encourage you to tune in at 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock for that game. And then, of course, Saturday we play at Pitt, and they've played some really good teams like Fayetteville Tech, who is the other 2-loss team in our league right behind us, to an overtime game. So 2 tough games this weekend at Pitt and then at Lenore Saturday and Sunday. Looking forward to those games. You also have Lewisburg sitting with 2 losses as well. So there's 3 teams right behind us with only 2 losses.
Checking the Facebook here. Dan Truey's watching. I want to say hi to Dan. Kevin Gardner's watching. Kevin says Tim Gwillem has been a great addition to our army of volunteers at Brinkley this year. So he gives a shout out to Tim as well.
So many people give countless hours behind the scenes to make Davidson-Davie athletics what it is. Dan, you're certainly one of them as well. I could go on and on about all the things that folks like you do, or we couldn't even have athletics here at the college. So appreciate Dan and everybody else like yourself that contributes behind the scenes.
Well, as we do each show, we typically have a special guest, and we talk to former players, current players. We're going to break now, and we're going to bring up our first guest. This is we're very honored to have the president of the college step up, Jenny Varner. So, Jenny. Welcome back to the Coaches Show. For you Storm fans, for those of you that don't know, in November of last year, Jenny was selected as the college's 5th president, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Very honored to have you here on the program. So we'll start off, we'll talk a little bit about the school first before we get into sports. Dedicated the past 15 years to this this college here. You've seen the growth and development. You've served as the acting president since Dr. Hartness passed away in July of 2023. If you would, share with our listeners some of the emotions that you went through when that decision was made in November to name you the fifth president.
Sure. Well, I think, and I tell people all the time, particularly students, that if they don't know exactly what they want to do next, if they're not sure in their careers, or if they're already working and they don't know what they want to do next, don't worry so much about it, because you're learning everywhere you are. You need to focus on the things that are going to matter in every job you have in life: the leadership skills, the communication, the compromise, the decision-making skills, because sometimes you just don't know what that next step is. And I have to say, a year ago, I didn't know I would be in this situation. Coach Ridge has already talked a little bit about the tremendous loss of Darren Hartness, and that's something that, none of us were prepared for. But I have to say that here in this, in 2023, especially the last couple months of the year, we celebrated the 60th anniversary of the college. And, anniversaries, if anything, they're about remembering the past and honoring those who have come before us. And I think what has mattered most to me as I have come into this job is, I grew up in this area. I've watched this college for a long time. And I can pick up that history book and know the names of people who have been important to this college since 1963, or maybe I know their children or their grandchildren. And I think that as we move forward, we're building on those memories. We're building on those people who came before us, the people from 1963 all the way to 2023. And we have the opportunity to honor them and to pay tribute to them, but also to make them proud of us going forward. And that's what I think about most of all in this job, I think, is how to make those people who dedicated themselves to the college, the starting of the college, or who worked here at some point, or who have been with us all of this time, or who still are with us. How do I make them proud? How do we continue to make this college what all of these people have envisioned it could be for the community? And how do we keep growing that, for the next 60 years?
Share with us a little bit about your background.
Sure. Well, as you said, I've been here at the college for 15 years, and before that, I did some other work in fundraising and government and nonprofit work. But again, I grew up in this area, so I know who we are here. I know our history, and I know a little bit about where we think we will go going forward. And so I think that's what makes me most excited about what we can do to take this college forward. I've been very fortunate to have been working with our foundation the last 15 years. And our foundation is one of the largest community college foundations in the state. Even though our college is not necessarily one of the largest, we're kind of a medium large college. What that means is that this community has supported our foundation with these gifts for the last 60 years because education's so important to them. Scholarships are so important to them. They want to see this college grow. And so it has been just a tremendous honor for me to have led that foundation for the past 15 years. And that type of community support is going to be what takes us forward.
I'm surprised you didn't take a little jab at Coach Ridge and mention that you were also a Duke University graduate.
Well,
but
I bit my tongue, but maybe we can come back to that later.
Okay. So, if you could share with us some of the initiatives the college is going that you're leading the college to now, you and your leadership team.
Well, obviously, anybody who drives by the college knows that we've got a tremendous highway project going on out there. It's my favorite road construction project ever. I mean, nobody likes road construction, but I love this one because it's representative of the growth we're going to get to see going forward. It's going to give us access to land across the highway where we can physically grow the college, but then also make it easier for people to access our campus and improve safety. We also have some other facilities projects underway. For example, an emergency response center that we have received money to build. So we're working with architects and engineers right now on that project. And that will give expansion opportunities to our emergency responders, fire and basic law enforcement, and increase our ability to work with our public health partners in the community and just everybody who's involved in any type of emergency response and public health. So that's a big project out there. We're also zeroing in Davie County on a new health sciences facility, which will be great for our partnerships there. So those are all things on the horizon in the near future.
You mentioned a moment ago the 60-year legacy here in our surrounding communities, Davidson-Davie County. What is your vision of what the next 60 years might look like?
Well, I don't know that I can tell you exactly. I know, like I already said, I think a lot of it is about continuing to do those things that are going to make all those people who have been so dedicated to this college proud. Now, one of the characteristics of a community college is being able to respond to changing needs in the community and in the economy. So it's hard to say what all the different programs might be over the next 60 years because that's in large part a response to what's happening in the workforce, what types of employers are hiring people, where is there more growth, where is there perhaps not as much growth. So we don't know what all of those different jobs look like. And we are, regularly starting new programs. Last year was the beginning of our sustainable agriculture program, for example. Our healthcare programs are always growing. So what we're going to be doing in our programs is that constant response to the community. I do think just knowing some of these physical growth projects that I already mentioned, I think we know this college is going to look really different over the next 60 years, but different in a good way. This college looks very different than it did when I was in high school and came out here to take some classes. But it's all of the growth you see is always a symbol of the success of our students and our ability to help the community be successful as well.
Well, we'll talk sports now, if you don't mind, for a little bit. We had Steve Elliott and the women's volleyball team had a phenomenal year this year. The season that these guys are having is superb again. Do you get a chance to come out and watch many of the athletic events here?
I do. I've gotten to see a lot of games so far this year, and it's been great. Definitely the fire alarm game, as Coach Ridge has already mentioned, but also ones that are a little more normal. And it's been a great season so far.
So, in your opinion, what is it you think about this men's basketball program that's made it so successful over the 16 plus years?
Well, I think because it's about more than just athletics and winning games. And I know we all want to win games, but I think that what Coach Ridge focuses on and what makes me proud is that our athletes, basketball and volleyball, that they, of course, are students first, but also that they are working really hard on these other skills that are going to help them the rest of their lives. It helps them on the basketball court too, but when they are focused on leadership skills and team building and ethical decision making, these are things that are going to matter to them everywhere they go. And so I think that focus on being strong, both on the court and off the court, is what makes the Storm special.
Talking about development, the program, and I'll just say the basketball program, because I know has historically provided a path for many of the student athletes to move on and further their education and their playing careers at 4-year level schools. And you can go back year after year and see that. How satisfying is it for you to see Davidson-Davie Community College and Storm Athletics offering that development opportunity for young men and women?
I think it's tremendous, and I think that we always are hopeful, no matter who the student is, that their education is never over. Maybe that means they're moving on to a 4-year school right away to play basketball. Maybe it means they're going to get a graduate degree a couple years down the road. Maybe they are continuing to advance in their careers and come back here or somewhere else for a certification. But I think knowing that we can encourage people in whatever way it is, through our athletics program or through other support, that we can encourage our students to continue focusing on advancement, whatever that looks like for them, is really important.
Well, you told us that you were able to come and see some of the games. You were here for the Sand Hill game. Did you make it to the Thanksgiving Classic here?
So I was here over Thanksgiving. Now I had told my son, who comes to a lot of the games with me, I think we had 2 games that weekend, right? And I had said, we can get to one of the games, but we're not going to be able to hit both of the games. And I told him we were coming to Saturday's game, and which was still a good game, but I think that was a 13-point win over Montgomery. And so as soon as he found out what we missed on Sunday with the Henry Ford game, he has not let me forget it. So we missed the really tremendous game of that weekend.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. I thought I remember seeing you here for the opening game. I wasn't sure if you were here for that game, but probably one of the best games I think I've seen here.
Just rub it in.
I know. The crowd here, though, for both of those games for that weekend, they were electric.
Absolutely.
And if you look at the record here, the overall record's phenomenal, but for a program to have a home record of 247-19, I mean, almost a 93% winning percentage, this is unheard of. Talk about that atmosphere and the community support and how they help this program when they come here and watch a basketball game. They don't just watch, they actually are part of the game.
Absolutely. Well, as someone who was familiar with home court advantage and what that means in a small, intimate gym environment, it's not that different here in Brinkley Gym, because the truth is, in Brinkley, similar maybe to Cameron Indoor, you never feel alone. The gym is never going to be empty or feel like you don't have enough fans here. You know that your support is behind you, and you can feel that crowd, and I think that matters a lot. And it's true. When we cram in there for these games, the truth is that I hope our team knows that they are never alone out there, and I hope that the other team knows that our team is never alone out there.
Very similar to Cameron environment. I agree with you, so I'll back you on that. Final question for you, President Varner. If you're a young player listening to the show tonight. What would a reason be, or reasons that you would say to them to look at DDCC to further their education and their playing career?
Well, first of all, you don't have to take my word for it. I think the first thing I would tell players out there who are looking at college is to come visit. I think that people step on this campus and they feel like it's different from some other colleges they might be visiting. They realize it really is a family on campus, not just in the athletic program, but all around campus. We are big enough to have a lot of opportunities, but we're small enough to take care of each other and to provide personal support to our students. And I think that makes a difference. And I think you find the same thing in the athletics program with a tremendous amount of support behind it, tremendous leadership from the athletic director level through all of the assistant coaches. I think that the difference, well, maybe you just have to see it for yourself.
Well, we appreciate you being our guest tonight. Congratulations again, and we are so very fortunate to have you as the president here at Davidson-Davie, and we appreciate all you do to support athletics here as well.
Thanks for having me.
President Jenny Varner, thank you so very much. We got Yvette Candy's watching. Jason Gore's out watching. Jason says, bring the popcorn back, please. Candace Ridge is watching. Brandon Mollis, Patrick Stevens, who just walked in just a moment ago. Kevin Gardner says, thank you to Jenny Varner for her support of Storm Athletics. Seeing her in Brinkley Gym means a lot to those of us from the community that support the Storm, so thank you. Okay, Caleb Walker steps in now. Transfer red shirt. 6'2" guard out of Lexington, Virginia.
Yes, sir.
Rockbridge High School.
Yes, sir.
Had a really good high school career there. Almost 20 points a game, 2 rebounds a game over your last season there. And then you went to Bryan and Stratton, played some ball in Virginia, some JUCO ball there. Had a pretty good season, 2020, 2021.
Yes, sir.
Averaged nearly 10 points a game. Then you decide you're going to transfer. What influenced you, Caleb? I'm curious, influenced your decision to transfer from Bryan and Stratton here to Davidson-Davie?
Yes, sir. Well, first and foremost, I'd like to thank God. You know, I wouldn't be here without him. But what influenced my decision was, you know, Davidson's always winning. You know, I've lost to them many of times, and this past year I lost to them as well. But it's just everything they embody. It's a family core. Coach Red believes in God as well, so those are all factors that I counted in. So then when me and Coach Ridge talked over the phone, and after meeting him and he offered me, you know, the spot, it was a no-brainer because this was the best option for me.
So you're playing ball in high school, and you decide to take it to the next level. You go play JUCO. Was that much of a transition for you? Was there a lot of difference playing the high school ball at your school in Lexington, Virginia, and then going to Bryan and Stratton?
There wasn't much transition because after Rockbridge, I did a year and a half at Hargrave Military Academy.
Okay.
And that year I went there, we were the #1 national post-grad team in the nation. So I played against some guys that were high caliber, SEC type players. So my first year went pretty well. It was adjustment, you know, playing more because when I was at Hargrave, I didn't play as much because behind people that were more talented. But it wasn't that much transition, just more sped up, physical. But that was it.
So tell us a little bit about some differences maybe that you can talk about in your experience at Bryan and Stratton and what you've seen here at Davidson-Davie.
Yes, sir. There's one big difference is the practices. They're more sped up, but they're also more disciplined. Everything at this program is a place you want to be. It kind of feels like home when you come here. You know, you got great coaches. You know, shout out to Dumas and Allen, and Coach Ridge, of course, is an elite program. But at Bryan and Stratton, you know, we don't have our own gym. We don't have a weight room. So here, you know, you got that right at the cuff. So you have all the opportunities to be great. So that was the biggest differences for me.
So as a red shirt, tell us a little bit of what your season looks like. I mean, as a redshirt, are you able to practice and travel with the team and do all of that?
I'm able to travel, but as far as practice, I haven't practiced yet due to my injury being my back. But I look forward to practicing next Friday because I'm supposed to get cleared by the doctor. So, but my typical day for a redshirt, I come in, I help the guys, you know, if they need me to rebound, sometimes talk to them or whatever. And then me and Manny do the statistician job, so I do that game in and game out. So that's what it looks like.
So when you're healthy and you're suited up next year, what strengths do you bring to the team, Caleb?
I for sure bring a leadership role, you know, being a veteran, I played 2 years already. So I bring that leadership on off the court. Definitely playing defense, that's one of my strengths because at Bryan and Stratton, I had to guard the best player every night. As everybody knows, I'm a great shooter, but I'm looking forward to expanding my game and showing what I can do.
Are there pieces of your game that you really need to focus on and work on?
Yes, sir. One big aspect is just using my size. Even though I'm 6'2", I am very physical and strong, so just getting downhill, so working on ball handling, creating for my shot for myself, those are the main things I'm focusing on right now.
So as a student athlete, of course, your number one responsibility are the books, right?
Yes, sir.
So you got classroom stuff. How do you balance that?
I balance it by just having a disciplined schedule. I usually get up around 4:35 a.m. I have my little Bible study, but after that I hit the gym. And then after that I'm able to take care of my classwork, go to class, and then I'll probably come in here and get some shots up. So I have enough wiggle room to do the things I need to do because with that, like after practice, I'm able to do some more homework before I go to bed. So it's just all about having a disciplined schedule.
What's it like playing for the guy sitting to your right here?
I haven't yet been able to play for him yet, but I'm really looking forward to it. But like I said, he's a great coach. He's a great man. He's a man of God, and I know he's rooting for me, but I'm rooting for this team as well. But it's just something I'm looking forward to, and ready to put on a show when the time is there.
What do you think about the team this year?
The team this year, I love these guys. Like I told them the other day, as far as my teams in the past history, I've never had this connection with people or talked to them as much. I used to be a closed-off guy, but I'm more, talkative with them and extroverted. So this team, they bring out the best in me, and we bring out the best in each other, and I love them, and I'm ready to have success and win the championship.
So what are your goals here at DDCC?
My goals, to set great examples for people to follow after me to come, to continue to get good grades in the classroom and improve my game on the court, but also bring a different dynamic to this program when I get on the court.
And after college here, what are your goals?
My goals are definitely to play at a 4-year and continue my education. Yes, sir.
Do you have a nickname? We always ask, do you have a nickname or any kind of pregame superstitions that you go through?
For nicknames, I would say they call me Seawalk. My boy Dan calls me Six, like Drake. That would be it. But as far as pregame stuff, just reading my Bible, praying, and just meditating.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, we appreciate you being our guest and looking forward for you to suit up next year and get in there for the Storm.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
All right, Caleb. Thank you, man. Caleb Walker. Shout out to Caleb Walker. See, Dan Truey says, nice Spectrum News story on NIL for Najee and the guys last night. Yeah, I saw that a couple nights ago. He also had a question for President Varner, if she's still in the audience. I don't know if you can answer this or not, but Brinkley's a special place, but are there plans for a larger gym? Any commitments there? Yes. Okay. I don't know if you heard that, Dan. Tim Guillermo again. Caleb. Shout out to Caleb. Leadership skills have been evident this year and during his redshirt year. So thank you for that. Okay. So Dane Stewart stepping in here. Dane, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Dane, a 5'11" guard out of Mooresville, North Carolina, not too far away. 16 points a game in your senior season in high school. 4.7 assists per game. Pretty good stats there. We want to welcome you to the family. Haven't had a chance to see you play. Of course, you're red-shirted too. Mm-hmm. But we'll talk a little bit about that later on. What factored in your decision coming out of high school to choose Davidson-Davie as the program to keep your playing career going?
Well, I didn't have much of a decision. I'm gonna be honest. Coach was the first coach to give me an offer, and I'm truly blessed, truly honored that he did. And I don't regret coming here because being here, I can feel the family, I can feel the friendship, and I can feel that this is the place for me. This is gonna get me to where I want to go.
Well, we got a taste. Storm fans got a little taste to see some of your athletic ability at the Brinkley Bash this past October. You won the dunk contest, right? Hands down, you won the dunk contest. There was no question about it. How did it feel for you to compete in that Brinkley Bash and win the contest and actually get a little court action here?
It was a surreal experience. I could feel the crowd. I could feel the energy. And being the shortest one in the dunk contest, I felt like, I was going to be a little doubted, so it gave me a little bit of edge, and it was really fun competing with the guys.
You got air. I know that. You got some air. I remember the dunks. What have you learned about yourself since joining this program?
Since joining this program, I learned that I got to be patient. I learned that patience is going to get me further than eagerness would. Being that I'm a redshirt, I got to wait my turn.
So, as with Caleb, again, you mentioned you were redshirted this season. How tough has that been for you?
I'm going to be honest, it's been really tough, but being that I can able to watch the guys play and still help out on the sideline, it makes it a little bit easier. I
shoulder injury, I think you had shoulder surgery. You recovering pretty well from that?
Yeah, I'm in physical therapy right now, so I'm just trying to get back right.
You just want to get back and be able to start shooting again, right?
Yeah.
Any timetable for that? Any time frame for that?
Well, it'll be after the season.
Okay. So, are you able to travel with the team? You're able to do that, right?
Yeah, I'm able to travel.
Did you make the trip to Richard Bland last night?
I did.
And you got in late this morning. Made it to class today, right?
Made it to class
All
on time.
What does a typical day look like for Dane as a student athlete here at the college?
Well, first, the name is a student athlete, so you got to go to school first, wake up and go to school, and then you got the second part, being an athlete. Come in, do what I can with my energy, and then go to practice and help any way I can there.
What's your relationship like with this gentleman here sitting over to our right?
He's a mentor, and he's always telling us that he's working better on becoming a leader, and I can feel that he's trying to lead me to where I need to be.
You mentioned having patience. There's a saying here that they always toss around: "Work while you wait." What does that mean to you? What does that look like to you?
It means a lot to me. The captain over there, Najee Stroman, he gave that quote a while back in practice, and work while you wait to me means I just got to work this year while I'm redshirting, and hopefully next year I'll be ready.
And even if you can't physically get out and practice, I mean, there are things you can do mentally to better prepare yourself, right? So work while you wait, not always necessarily physical, right?
Yeah.
What strengths, Dane, do you bring to this team?
I try to bring more energy every day. The guys can use energy in practice. They can use energy on game day. Energy is always going to be useful, so I try to bring energy to the team.
Now, we've not been beaten on the court yet. What do you think about this team so far?
I think we're doing pretty good, but of course I think we can do better. We can always do better, and I think we will do better.
So after you graduate from DDCC, after your playing days are over here, what kind of goals do you have? What sights do you have on after school here?
I want to be able to go play at a four-year university and continue my education to be a dentist, hopefully.
Good. Do you have a nickname?
I don't think I do, no. My middle name is Dane.
Okay. So Dane, Dane is your middle name. Your first name is, how do you pronounce it?
Acius.
Acius, okay. Acius Dane. So we'll have to get Dane a nickname as we get him into the lineup next year. Looking forward to seeing both you and Caleb play next year. So keep working at it. Dane Stewart. Thank you, Dane. Nice job by both you and Caleb. All right, Coach, we're going to talk about the upcoming games on our schedule over the next couple of weeks. Again, 4 in a row now on the road. We've got 2 this weekend, back-to-back days. Pitt and Lenore, Saturday and Sunday. DJ left. Okay. I say something to him when he comes back in. how tough are those long stretches of road games, especially the back-to-back ones that you got this weekend when your players are trying to concentrate on academics as well?
Well, this weekend it just makes sense. Lenore is about 3 hours, or Pitt's 3 hours, and Lenore is about 2:45, and they're about 30 minutes from each other. So at the end of the day, it just makes sense to do this overnight trip each, 1 weekend out of the year for logistics. But also from a coaching standpoint, it makes sense because when you get into postseason play, you got to play 3 games in 3 days in the regionals. And as you well know, in the Nationals, you got to play 4 games in 5 days. So this is also good preparation for the postseason.
Pitt's a 2-5 team in the conference, 3-10 overall, but they've had some close games. I mean, they had an overtime game against Fayetteville Tech, and we know Fayetteville Tech's a really good ball team. Close game with Sand Hills, they lost by 1 to Lenore. So their record's maybe a little deceiving. What does that Pitt matchup look like?
Their record is very deceiving. They're much better than the record, and we've been telling the guys that for the last 24 hours. This game scares me for 2 reasons. One, they're much better than the record. They only lost to Lenore by 1. They took Fayetteville Tech to overtime, which is the other 2 teams right behind us in the standings. And, they're going to have a chip on their shoulder. They're going to give us their best shot. We know all that. And then the other reason I'm concerned about this game is we play Lenore, who's in second place in our league, the very next day. So it's a trap game from that standpoint mentally. So we're trying to put most of our energy going into Saturday, but then you also got to prepare for Sunday's game as well. So we're going to do a little bit tomorrow on that because the turnaround is so quick, you don't get any practice when you play back-to-back. We will have a film session Saturday night in the hotel after we play Saturday at Pitt, but I think the biggest thing is for this group to learn to stay humble, stay grounded, and prepare for every game the same way. And the most important game is the next game.
Well, the following day, we faced that very much, probably one of the most improved teams in the league, Lenore. As you mentioned, second in the conference, only a game behind us, averaging about 94 points a ball game. What does your scouting report tell you about Lenore?
They play incredibly hard. That's the first thing that jumps off the table. I've talked to several coaches around the league, and they say they play as hard as anybody in the league. And I take that a little personal because I think one of the cornerstones of the Davidson-Davie basketball is nobody plays harder, but they do play hard. And Coach Grantham is a first-year coach. He's been a lot of different levels, including the Division I level as an assistant coach. He brings a lot of energy to the game. He's done a good job in recruiting, and the kids are really competing. So Sunday should be a fun game to watch. I hope our folks will travel down to Kinston and the Greenville area this weekend. But if not, tune in online.
Well, we wrap up our road trip with an away game, if you want to call it an away game, at GTCC. That's an easy game for us to get to, followed by a Sunday game on the 21st at Southwest Virginia. Give us a little sneak peek of those 2 games, if you would.
Well, Southwest Virginia has beat some teams recently in our league. Every team in our league, you've got to approach with the same mentality and respect your opponent but fear no one. And so we've got to prepare for that game just like if it were Lenore or Fayetteville Tech or Lewisburg.
GTCC, I think, beat Sand Hill.
And same thing with Gilbert Tech, And so they're capable of beating anybody as well. They've got guys that can make shots just like Southwest Virginia. So, again, both those games you've got to approach as if it were Fayetteville Tech or Lenore.
Well, speaking of Fayetteville Tech, that will be our next home game, and that will be here at Brinkley on the 24th, so a little bit of ways away. But it'll be a rematch of probably one of our closest games this season if you take away the Henry Ford game. We rallied and got a 4-point win down in Fayetteville. Why is this a must-see game for fans to come at Brinkley to watch?
But if you look back at the last 4 or 5 times we've played Fayetteville Tech, most of those games have been extremely close. And several of those, just like last night, we had to come from behind and win. We had to come from behind and win this year at Fayetteville Tech on the road. So Coach Hurd was an assistant at Central Carolina for a long, long time. We were both D3 before he got the head job at Fayetteville Tech. I feel like he knows me and what we try to do, and he tries to take that tempo that we want to play at away, and he's been incredibly successful at that. But I've always said the better teams, whether it be Carolina at the next level, playing at Cameron Indoor or wherever. I don't know if Miss Barnard over there heard that, but every team that can really compete at the highest level can win in either style. And, last night we won a game, not necessarily the style we wanted to play, but we overcame not shooting the ball well and were able to win the game in the 60s. Coach Hurd wants the game in the 50s and 60s. We want to play more towards the triple digits.
Well, we just had Dane on the program again. Kevin Garner just shouts out, he's a great young man, has a wonderful attitude that will make him very successful. But, Dane's had the shoulder surgery. We've been beat up a little bit this season with some injuries and a little sickness early in the season. How's the team right now from a health perspective?
We've got some guys still banged up. Matter of fact, we're sending to the orthopedic tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. So hopefully, they're not too bad off. But it's been a season of injuries. But as you well know, it's next man up in those scenarios, and that's one of the things that we pride ourselves in being really deep.
Well, we've got just a few minutes left, and I wanted to touch a little bit on some of our former players because we talk about family, and in the spirit of family, we do have a lot of Storm alumni playing at the next level, even some of them playing against one another. Tell our listeners how the former Storm players are doing currently with their respective teams.
Well, and that's one of the things I pride our success on is guys that are moving on and not just moving on full scholarships, but contributing. I mean, Javion's arguably the best player in that league. He's already having agents to reach out about him going overseas and playing professionally. Uzziah Dawkins is by far the best player, not even close. At Converse, their coach told us the other day that they think that he's the best guard in that entire league. So there you got Javion, maybe the best guard in the SAC, and then Uzziah, possibly the best guard in Conference Carolina. Tim Bullware's averaging double figures, I believe, at Greensboro College. L.J. Rogers, same thing, averaging right around 10 points at Leeds-McRae. Jonathan Faust is a huge piece to their puzzle at Lynchburg. Aaron and Keith are both playing quality minutes at Shawan, and Jaheim and Chase were at different times starting for Lenore Ryan. So all these guys not are just on scholarship, but I'm proud that they're mentally and physically able to step in and contribute and play. And they're all on track to graduate and get their 4-year degree, and it's not costing their parents a dime.
It's fun to watch the success that all these young men are having. It really is. And it's fun to have them back here when they can get back to the gym or to a game, and we've seen a lot of them.
Several of our players went with my daughters and I right before Christmas break. We went down to watch Javion at Catawba play against Lenore Ryan. So, Chase and Jaheim, before Chase got injured, he's out right now for a stress fracture. We're competing against Javion. So, it's fun to watch them compete, but, that was, unique to see them compete against each other.
And we'll be talking years from now about some of these guys probably doing the same thing, right? That's what makes it so special. Well, Coach, what we couldn't do is the show. We couldn't have things in the gym like the digital scoreboard and the video and the replay and all that without our sponsors. And before we leave, I want to let you just touch on our sponsors and thank them.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, the growth of our athletics here, in addition to, of course, the foundation is the main reason we're able to have athletics, because most people don't know, you cannot use state money at our level for athletics. So we have to rely on our foundation, who is been unbelievable for many, 17 years now and supporting us since we started athletics back. And then you got people like, of course, Todd down here at Jerry Hunt, who's given a lot of money to help us grow our program. Justin Strickland, whose name's on the court. Josh Hill with the Hill Group, Fidelity Bank, Mohawk Industries. And those are just some of the name of the top ones. But there's so many other people like yourself that have given literally thousands of dollars behind the scenes to help us grow our program. And I so appreciate all the people that have given not just money, but time to make us who we are.
Well, and we want to thank the fans too, and the fans. I mean, got Caleb Curry's out watching. We've got Josie Curry says "Go Storm." So a lot of folks watching and coming and supporting this team, and we really appreciate that.
And speaking of the foundation, Jenny was over the foundation for 15 years. And I can't tell you, since I've been the athletic director before she became the president, and just my 2 years before she became, or 2.5 years before she got the job, how much she personally helped me smooth, the gap between Ken Kirk and myself becoming the AD, because she really has helped me tremendously in a lot of different ways. So I so appreciate all that she's done for me personally in terms of helping us grow. And then, of course, the foundation. We couldn't have athletics without the foundation's support financially. So.
Well, we want to thank you, Coach. We certainly want to thank President Jenny Varner for sharing her time with us tonight. We really appreciate that. Caleb Walker, Dane Stewart, and to everyone that helped puts on the Coach's Show. KT Tatum for doing our camera work, Jared Bowman, Patrick Stevens, everyone. And we want to thank you, Storm fans, for supporting this team. We look forward to seeing you out here against the Fayetteville Tech team. In the meantime, go Storm.